So apparently my parents talk about a lot of heavy stuff on their podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Like, comment, subscribe, and share or whatever. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
I understand that alcohol is a business, right? It is a money-making business. So I get it. But I also think that, like, I don't know. I feel about the drinking around the world thing the same way I feel about, like, zoos and aquariums. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
I get it, yeah.
I want to partake in the sense of, like, I want to sip and eat around the world if there are NA options, but I also feel icky about the whole concept of, like, getting drunk around the world. Like, the whole, I don't know, the influence. Like, you have the people with T-shirts that were like, you know.
Oh, yeah, whole families and that had that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I'm going for like a 4-hour party or something, and I have no shame. Like, I will bring it, like, if it's like a big party, like at a pub or something, and I go in and they have no NAs, I'm like, is it okay if I bring my emotional support cooler in? And they're like, what? And I'm like, well, it's filled with non-alcoholic options that you don't have. I'm absolutely willing to give you more money if I can bring my own beverages in here. But I have no shame. I will bring it in. So yeah, my emotional support cooler.
I feel like I've heard a lot the story that people really ramped up their alcohol use during COVID. And that is also the case with me, but it was for a completely different reason. I'm a nurse in the emergency room, and I was actually, doing charge at that time already. And during that time, for reasons we can keep talking about later if we have time, it really pushed things into a level of excess that I had not reached before. Even though I had been, a heavy drinker for a long time. But yeah, so it was really that I didn't start to address it until a couple years ago, because I really just started to recognize I'm doing this every day. I'm escaping my life.
Yeah, so I think, like a lot of people, I had the voices in my head for a long time that something wasn't right, that I wasn't being right to myself, that I was abusing alcohol, that I was waking up every day feeling just like shit, doing stuff, that I was ashamed of. So I knew for a long time, and I tried everything in the book. I would try to convince myself that I didn't have a problem. I'm still going to the gym every day. Can't be that bad. I'm still getting all my work done. Can't be that bad. And so I'd also try things like, well, I'll only drink when I go on dates, or I'll only drink socially, or I'll only drink beer. I'll cut out all the hard liquor, or I'll only drink weed. None of that ever worked.
It got to the point where I was like, okay, I can cut back. I cut back to the weekends. That was great. Got this under wraps. I'm just drinking on the weekend. Well, the funniest thing happened. All of a sudden, I'm like not drinking all week. Then I drink Friday night and Saturday night, just have like 3 or 4 beers, literally, like not lying, 3 or 4 units a night. I started looking forward to Sunday. Because Sunday night I didn't have to drink.
Right.
Well, what the fuck are you doing here? Like you're literally looking forward to not drinking, but yet Friday night you're back to drinking.
Yeah.
So I was healthy. I was into organic food. I had been publishing a natural health magazine, and but at the same time I was drinking a bottle of wine every night or more. I think, like a lot of people, COVID really exacerbated my drinking. I had a home business at the time, and so, I think like most people, I was working from home, and I was kind of originally a 5 o'clock drinker. So 5 o'clock would roll around. I would open my bottle and then I would start, I would have kind of a slow roll all night. I would just nurse that bottle all night long. And if I had more than a bottle, sometimes I would open another bottle, but most of the time I just would drink that one. But during COVID, during the lockdown, like a lot of people, I discovered home delivery of alcohol and, would have a case of wine delivered to my house. And, the 5 o'clock became, 5 o'clock somewhere.
I never spoke to myself like that. Like I was so mean. It was just all go, 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 push, push, push. Nothing's good enough. Be better, be faster, be kinder, be more, be more, be more. So to have like my first thought of the morning just be this super sweet, I think I called myself Poppet as well. Like it was really quite cute. And it happens all the time now. So I think that's probably the nicest. Like I'm my own best friend now. Like
I've always thrived in that space, and being active is just like an outlet for me. So going through sobriety and returning to some of these contraptions I played on years ago, but in like a really hardcore way, the pole is something I've really like challenged myself with. And yeah, people are like, call it a stripper pole, but I'm like, that's not exactly what's happening. Like the strength that it takes to do some of this is just like, I just eat it up. It's just so much fun for me. So really it's a labor of love, and it's just been something to better myself with through sobriety.
I got to the point, like you said, where it's just, I couldn't do it anymore. And I had an accident. Well, it was a Sunday. I was walking down the street to get my last couple beers for the evening. And the neighborhood drunk Tony on the corner, he looked at me as I was stumbling and he's, "Oh man, you're looking roasty toasty." I was like, fuck, drunk Tony just called me roasty toasty. Like, this is not a good endorsement of my life. And, I got my 2 tall cans. I was walking back and I tripped and smacked my face on the sidewalk. And I was like, dude, I cannot fucking do this anymore. This is ridiculous.
I still have fun. I still go out. I still go travel. I done vacation. I go to bars, I do all of things, right? But anything that I say yes in my life, it has to be valuable for my time, right? And then it has to be a good vehicle or an expression of what I love or what I'm passionate about. So that way, and it has to give me energy instead of deplete me, from it. Because a lot of things when we go out, let's just be honest, sometimes I used to go out with people that maybe I didn't have much in common besides the drinking.
Right.
Now you take that out of the equation and then you're stuck, okay, hey, we really don't have much between you and I. So you don't have to see it as a bad thing that your relationships are changing, because they will,
Behavior is subjective. So I think the whole let them theory is about not putting your own narrative on other people's behavior, because their reactions, their feelings and emotions are very real and very valid. And so that is why you let them. That is because it 99.99999% of the time has nothing to do with you, and something has triggered them.
I understand that.
So it is a mutual respect. It's a respect for yourself to say, I am not going to absorb or receive that because it doesn't have anything to do with me. But it's also respecting that other person's experience and reality and feelings about what is happening is very real.
So I'm training for a 10K, which I'm doing in Cincinnati in May. I cannot wait to do it. I'm fucking pumped about it. So I'm within 5 weeks of that, I think. 5-week countdowns coming up on that. So that'd be cool. So if you happen to be in Cincinnati for the Flying Pig, I'll be doing that on Saturday at 10K. My buddy Tim, who's been on the podcast over in the UK, is going to be doing it virtual with me, which is really cool. And then in June, we're going to be starting our challenge up again.
She hates being around drinking. And she was starting to voice her opinion, by the way. She was starting to say, Mom, I don't like when you drink. Mom, you act different. And then it was starting to get more and more and more. And I have a side story with that too. And so I thought I was being responsible by saying, I want you to go to your friend's house at 2. So you're not around all the drinking and partying. I knew we were going to get shit-faced. I knew that was going to happen. And that's what I did at that moment.
Like the beginning of our relationship, like even right before we got married, before I got sober, it was constant drinking, constant just sickness all the time. And I think Amy too, she was like at some point, like, I don't even know if I do want to get married to this person.
There was definitely points of our relationship where I was like, what am I doing? Why? Because my dad was an alcoholic, and just it would bring me back to looking at my parents' relationship and how they were married for 20 years, and probably 15 of those years they shouldn't have been together.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, and like looking back as a child and going through all of those things, those memories, and me being like, why would I want to do this?
Go ahead.
Do it.
So in the beginning, it was the way I was brought up, tough love, suck it up, kind of thing. We can talk about it later. Hold on a minute. I don't got time for that. Just that thing. And we lived in the city, and we were always busy doing stuff. I got 2 older brothers, and we had hunting dogs, we had raccoons, we had everything that needs to be out in the country. So we moved, and it was good because we were starting to get crazy in the neighborhood.
Friday happy hours that turned into late nights, or we'd even sometimes drink and this was not in the investment management part of my career, but I did have a corporate career where people would go and drink at lunch, and that was how we had fun. If I think there's a good reason why I should be at something where there's alcohol, it's not difficult to get sparkling water and lime, or even maybe get a mocktail or something like that, and then just be totally comfortable with my decision. I think if I'm cool with it, then most people are cool with it.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about our website.
Okay.
I know you like my little shoulder shimmy shake.
Yeah.
It's like when I get happy about something, I
go ahead and discuss. You have worked your literal off for this thing for a while, which is really badass.
So we have developed a website, and it is Noon, Noon. The website is our-noon, Noon.com, ournoon.com, and it stands for New Outlook on Now.
Like at the age, there's also a picture in the book of me at the age of 1 taking a sip of beer. It all started there. My parents were pretty social alcoholics. At 13, I was bartending in their parties, but it started earlier than that. It started, in that picture at 8 or 9, like, hey, let's dress up our kid and let him be like the little comedian running around here. And at 13, I realized, wow, I could make some money bartending my parents' parties and make sure everybody's drinks are full, and I could remember everybody's drinks. I can remember them today. I was a pretty good athlete in high school, really didn't dabble a whole lot of booze until college, and then it was like Big Mouth Mickey's, here we come.
Back to your point, I think you're correct that men struggle to share even in the event of our own demise, like Tupac says in his book of poetry. And I think it's getting better. I'm seeing more men open up. I'm rather active on social media, and I do get a lot of private messages about men specifically who need somebody to speak to, whether it's just a coach or a mentor, coach, friend like myself, or something more therapeutic in nature, or they join a community or what have you. I mean, it's a challenge for men, I think, and it's a delicate balancing act.
But the 2 most important things that sobriety, actually it's three most important things sobriety's given. Number 1, it gave me my life back, which my life was gone for a long time. Number 2, it gave me my relationship back with my kids that I knew I wanted and could always have, because I didn't have that for a very long time. And to me, the third most important is it has shown me how to love someone unconditionally and to accept someone's love that I've never had in my life.
This went on for like a while, and I just thought, like, why would I quit drinking? Because I don't have a problem with alcohol. Despite despite the blackouts, despite the binge drinking, I think in my mind, I really thought someone who had a problem was worse than me. That was like, you know, some people, my family used to have really bad alcohol problems. And I'm like, well, I'm not that bad.
I think I had to go down that dark path of alcoholism, to come through on the other side. And I think that's part of the reason I got so bad is I never dealt with those demons from when I was 17. Again, I closed it off and I pretended it never happened. So it wasn't until sobriety that I was able to really look back outside of myself and look at the things I went through. And that was how I was able to figure out how I got through it. Was
I think for a long time I was like kind of ashamed of, and like didn't, like it almost feels like, wait, if you're like a normal person and there's nothing wrong with you, why can't you just have a couple drinks? Mm-hmm. Like that was my mindset. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I don't really have to prove that to anyone. And like, actually, I'm just so much happier sober. Like, I'm just so much happier sober. Mm-hmm. Like, I think about it all the time, even almost 3 years out, like wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I feel fucking amazing. Like, I feel so good and so happy and so present and so just alive.
There's not a lot of us. It's possible, but it took a fucking ton of work to get here.
Yeah.
Not an easy journey. And I wish I would have known what I know now, which could have made my recovery journey a lot easier.
Of a surprise, I wasn't really looking to become sober when I discovered the Reframe app, which a friend of mine had not recommended actually. We went out to lunch and we always drink wine, and he was like, I'm not drinking today. I'm drinking once a week. And because I've been learning about alcohol in this app. And so out of curiosity, I went home and just checked out the app and thought, I'm going to just learn about it. I was not looking to stop drinking or drink less. But when it asked me to start entering how many drinks I was having, that was the first time in a long time since there's one other time when I was 21 where I was living in Aspen and I was partying a lot. And I thought, I think I'm drinking too much. And at that time, I was young and I did go to one AA meeting, but there was an old man there who told me I don't belong there. He's like, you're not an alcoholic, you're just young. And so I never thought about it again until I started entering it into the Reframe app.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to think about. And I think that version of me who is drinking on the lake, like, wouldn't believe me or anybody if someone had told her that this is what my life would be like. Even a year after that, or 2 years after that incident or that time period, like, I still wouldn't have believed it, right? That my life would look so, so different. But I guess, I realized as I was in a relationship that I knew like wasn't right, but I was kind of stuck in it because I still am kind of impulsive, but when I was drinking, I was way more impulsive. I'm ADHD, and drinking is so horrible for everybody, but especially people with ADHD. It just exacerbates all the symptoms.
What sort of started me on this journey was I have been sober for 12 years now. I started my journey where I knew more than anything else that I wanted to become a mom. But the thing that sort of started setting off all of these like blinking red lights in my brain was that I couldn't stop drinking in order to get pregnant. And so that was one of those things that it was like, oh, well, let's just like hold off having kids. And like, I have a background in special education. I was the cousin with, 20 younger cousins, and I had kids all over my lap. And so like motherhood to me was always the thing that I knew for sure. And so the fact that I was willing to put that off.
I love you. Let's hug. Ask me anything. Thank you so much. But this stuff, not going to play out. It's not going to play out for me. And I don't mean that to be mean. I respect it. It's like, because if you like I said earlier, if you get down, depressed, why me's, it isn't fair. If any of those start to creep in, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? That's what, back to Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and all those guys say. Don't do that. Just maintain what you can control. And that, for me, in this, is the most positive mindset I could possibly get. That's where it's at for me.
I think we've grown a lot. I mean, we've obviously, as you can tell now, we have a little bit of a set where, we started out with one nice microphone, a broken microphone, and movie posters and shit behind it. That's so funny if you watch with the first. It's not the first episode. I think it's the third. Like the first two.
Our first two were just, I think, voice. And if you go back and watch the beginning of the first season, I have like a cheap singer, like actual like singing like a karaoke microphone. Yeah. And I don't know if you can see it in there, but I took electrical tape and duct taped it up, or electrical taped it up. And I remember you were like, what did you say? You said, honey, we'll just go buy another microphone. And I was like, no, we're not spending money on that.
And I am really bad with boundaries. That's something that I work on every day. I've had to learn that boundaries don't mean ultimatums. And I think a lot of, I hear it all the time in our meetings that, when the dynamic in the partnership changes, i.e. one person stops drinking, everything shifts.
2022. Wake up in bed, ridiculously bad hangover, can't move. And on the phone, I'm looking for a day counter. I'm like, let's just look if we can find get through a day. Maybe 2, Can we just find a day counter app? There's got to be an app for that, right? Like somebody's made that. That's not a hard ask. And so I'm scrolling, and God is a mysterious force. I land on Reframe. When it's not a day counter, y'all, it is an entire world. Everything around me is different. Internally, externally. What's in my fridge, what I wear, everything is different.
And my friend went to rehab and he had me come visit him. And I wanted what he had. I mean, he was so happy. It was just such a beautiful thing to see. It reminded me of summer camp. Rehabs remind me of summer camp. I don't know why, but something about that connection and meeting new people that you wouldn't typically meet. You're just you're sleeping, you're living, you're doing everything together. And shortly after that, I was sitting in my apartment and I looked at my dog and I said, I think I need to go to treatment. And and I was like, what do you think? And she came and put her head on my lap.
I think like many people, I had my first drink, in my teens. I was 18 and I was at a friend's house. And he was a couple years older than me, so he was more, experienced in the world of alcohol. And we were both big fans of The Big Lebowski. I don't know if you've seen it. Great movie. So I still love that movie, but the signature drink in that movie is the White Russian, right? So his parents had all the ingredients, we thought, to make these White Russians, and he made us some, and I got twisted. I was so fucked up. And I drove home, the first of many times I would drive drunk in my drinking career. And I got back to my apartment. I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and I immediately went to the bathroom and puked, and the room was spinning, and I didn't know what happened to me. Right. I thought drinking was cool and fun and made you feel relaxed, and
change is painful. And so I've seen some of the reasons I see people talk about, well, AA doesn't work or NA doesn't work or whatever doesn't work. You're coming up with excuses. Now, I'm not saying that that any of these 12-step programs are perfect. I mean, there's also Smart Recovery. I got a friend in Smart Recovery. There's Celebrate Recovery. I have a friend that goes to Celebrate Recovery. There's other things out there, and AA is just one of many tools in the box. It just has the largest footprint. And because I think that fellowship is so important, that's why I chose it years ago.
If you break it down, our brains and nervous systems are constantly chasing predictability.
Right.
Right. So it's not about chasing, what's better. Our brain registers different or unknown as scary.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And whether you are excited, afraid, any of those heightened emotions, your body kind of responds to it the same.
Looking back, I talk a lot about shame and the shame that we carry when we drink. And I do see that there was so much shame there, mainly with the boys and the booze, right? And like what I would do and allow, who I would allow into my space and whose bed I would go into when I was blacked out and didn't know. So my 20s were definitely, maybe everyone else had grown out of binge drinking and I wasn't quite there yet. I was still trying to figure this out.
I just felt all this anger and fear, and it was overwhelming. And I went into over medicating lots, right? And so Reframe, March of 2022, so you know how Reframe is, right? Somehow it found me, right? And maybe it was Facebook or something, but I responded. I was like, oh man, I think I need this. And that's how I got into Reframe. So I, downloaded the app, starting to hang out a little bit, realizing that I was in trouble.
Yeah. For me, it was a combination, I believe, of this, what alcohol did for me. What I recognized in that moment is I have had many periods where I've had very traumatic situations happen to me in my life. And what I wasn't recognizing was that part of me turning and going into this gray area was me also responding to what I now know to be a trauma response.
It's mindfulness in all areas of life. It's not just alcohol. I sometimes feel like I'm on my phone too much and I hate it. I mean, partly because I'm managing the business now, but that's something I'm trying to be mindful of too. Am I getting enough time outside? Am I socializing enough? Like those are all things I'm just trying to be mindful in multiple areas of my life, not just the alcohol. And
it's hard to believe, number one, it's already October.
I'm so
but
happy.
Holidays are like right around the corner, which is crazy. A lot of people hitting celebratory marks like yourself, hitting 500 days. There's been a lot of my friends hitting 2 years, 3 years, which is crazy. But, kind of wanted to discuss a little bit of that, navigating holidays, how do you celebrate things now? A lot of people that listen to our podcast are, within a year of sobriety. So, how do you celebrate your big wins, stuff like, I still celebrate every 10 days, which is maybe a little crazy. I'm like 870
I don't think that's crazy
days, but like every 10 days, I just kind of give, I'll write in my journal about it, give myself a little cred.
My therapist told me I had a lot of yets. I just didn't have a lot of those repercussions that some people do as a result of drinking alcohol. Now, I did have a lot of it was behind the scenes, very chaotic. It was, me saying or doing things that I regretted after I went out at night, not remembering the night. That was truly my go-to because I didn't want to know or have the responsibility of things that I did. So towards the end, it got to be just more blackout drinking. There was no time that I drank that something bad didn't happen.
So when I see people like now in working in addiction, I know that cycle to get to a place where you're truly done, like you are finished. And even that, I know people 20 years sobriety and they slip, but I think for me, all that I went through, by the time I was ready to quit, I knew I was ready to quit. I put myself through so much mentally, legally, physically, monetarily, emotionally, I hate to say, but I was someone who self-sabotaged when I was in pain. I think growing up, I learned I would get isolated, I'd get grounded a lot. So I just took it out on myself. I'd use drugs, use alcohol, whatever I could just to numb what was happening, in my house and stuff at home. So for me, I think my mental health journey and then working mental health has kind of been my lifelong mission ever since then.
Lily takes me to the first haunted house, and with you as well. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to face my fears. I've been sober for almost 2.5 years. I've done hard shit. Why can I not walk through this thing with my child? And you. So with both of you huddled up behind me with hoods tight to where you look like Kyle from South Park.
You betcha.
Clutching the back of my shirt. I am literally dragging you two through a haunted house as people are jumping out at me, scaring me, jump scares. I'm laughing the whole time because it was actually fun as shit. And you guys missed the whole thing other than pushing me like a battering ram. I was like a meat suit through this fucking haunted house for like 3 to 5 minutes. And I had fun. It was one of the funnest things I have done since becoming sober. I laughed my ass off.
Well, I was from this area, but I had gotten sober in like South Florida. We're in Florida. So, and I would come up to like visit my mom and stuff. And I would see him like occasionally, like, I think I met him when I was like 18 months sober or something. And then like, I don't know, one day I lost my job, came up here and we went out on a date and like the rest is history.
Ask her about who asked who out first and what I was wearing.
I'm Coaster. I've been sober for this long. And then when I started getting that reaction from people, and not just like sober people, but just like people in the audience, they applaud stuff like that. And then that's when I started meeting people after my performances, after shows that are like, hey, like, I really respect you talking about that on stage because I've been, this long sober or whatever, I'm really struggling or I've thought, I'm sober curious and thinking about stopping drinking. And that's where it really opens up the conversation.
Yeah, when I think back on it, honestly, it was a Tuesday and I was still hungover from the weekend because I did a lot of binging on the weekends where it was like Monday through Thursday. I was like, oh, everything's great and works great and everything is all fabulous. And then on the weekends, it was just like party down, Friday night, first thing I do, we're going out.
Yeah, the name of the book is called Standby, and it's for sale on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kindle. A few months down the road, it'll be on Audibles as well. I have an author website, www.bethmcdmedia.com, because a lot of people have a hard time with my last name, so we just truncated it. Yeah. And then, I'm all over the socials, so Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and I'll be sure to keep you in the loop for whenever the second book starts to slowly get published.
There's no way that anybody was going to like me because I didn't like me, and I had worked so hard at hiding who I was from the world. I can't go and be vulnerable, I can't go and share my intimate life with people. And so I did get sober. It took me a minute, but in 2010, I met him. We both had 90 days.
I feel like my drinking started off quote unquote very normal, like drinking at bonfires and that sort of thing. But what was different is I grew up in a house with a mom who is an alcoholic and not at all in recovery, not at all admitting that there was a problem at all. And it just continued to decline and like fall off a cliff.
Everybody out there all around the globe who watch, have an absolutely humdinger, bing bong, ding dong Christmas, and just stay merry and bright.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to get notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.